We acknowledge the original owners of the land on which we podcast, whose stories were told for thousands of years. Today, we are recording in Meanjin. We pay our respects to elders past and present who may be listening. Sovereignty was never ceded. A quick note before we get started that there may be some swearing in today's podcast. If you don't like swearing or usually listen with children in the car, you have been warned. You're listening to What in the NDIS Now, a podcast where I, Hannah Redford, and my friend Sam Rosenbaum interview participants and providers about all things NDIS. Hello, thank you so much for being here. So, today on the podcast, it's just me in the hosting chair, but I have with me a very special guest. This is Lauren from Care Seekers. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren. How are you?
Thanks so much, Hannah. I'm really good. So excited to be on the podcast. I've been listening to your episodes and I think they're fabulous. And so we're so thrilled to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, normally you have an offsider, Marissa, but she's unwell today.
She is my trusty co-founder. We usually do these things together, but she's very sick today. So it's just me. Just me this morning.
All right. Oh, that sucks so much when you have, meetings planned and then suddenly you wake up sick and you're just like, oh.
Totally. But we've worked together for so long. And we're sisters, so we often are picking up the slack for each other when, the other one can't be there, or we often have to divide and conquer. So
nice. Oh, that's so good. I hope she feels better soon and enjoys the episode when it comes out.
Thanks. I'll tell her, yes. She'll be.
So tell me, where did you grow up?
So, as I said, Marissa, my co-founder, and I are sisters, and we grew up in Sydney on the North Shore of Sydney. Our parents are South African, and they immigrated to Australia when I was a baby and Marissa was about 4. And we moved into an area of Sydney that was had a lot of South African immigrants, and spent our childhood and late teens, early 20s there in on that side of Sydney.
Oh, wonderful! Yes, I mean Sydney's lovely. So that's great.
It's big and lovely, and after that, I then lived in New York and London, and my husband's English, and then I've come back to Sydney, and now we live in a different part of it, near the beach, in Maroubra, and Marissa lives here too. And it's actually there's a lot of different pockets, and we love the diversity of this part of Sydney, because the upper North Shore is not that diverse, but we love the diversity of the southeast now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard rumors of the North Shore.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been there myself, but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, lovely. So many trees, such beautiful nature and bushland. A beautiful place to grow up.
Yeah. Oh, great. So, you spent a lot of time overseas. That sounds awesome. New York and London, you said, I think.
Yes. New York, I was there doing a filmmaking course, because my in another life I was in production and film, and then London, I was there for 4 years, and really enjoyed both big city living. I really love big cities. I love all the different types of people you meet and the different ideas, and yeah, I really enjoyed living in that part of the world, and then it always makes you really appreciate being back here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get into the disability sector? What drew you over here?
Sure. So it's a bit of a story. My background, as I said, was in like film production, TV commercials, advertising, marketing. And as I went on my career, I kind of moved away from, I guess, like fashion and film, that kind of world. And I moved more into corporate social responsibility and social impact. And my last job, I guess, before moving in, like setting up Care Seekers, was in the UK at a one of the Prince's charity, well, now the King's charity, I guess. It's called Business in the Community, and it was all about taking businesses and helping them kind of add good onto them. So it was like finding ways that they could do good, and which was great. And they did some amazing programs across the environment and employment and community development. There was a lot of corporate dollars put into that, and it was they were doing a really amazing work. But I always felt like I wanted to create a business that had impact in its DNA. They were like, every day you didn't have to look for the good. Like every day we were just making a difference. So I just had this burning desire to create something. And Marissa, my co-founder, she was at the time she's a lawyer, and she's always done human rights law. And at the time she was doing disability discrimination. She was actually working at IDRS. And she saw the rollout of the NDIS in Newcastle, and she saw with her clients it was so important to have the right support worker. She saw it time and time again when they were thriving. It was because they had good supports around them. Her clients had intellectual disabilities, and when they weren't, she'd say, "What's changed? Why are you back here?" And they'd say, "Oh, I don't like my support worker," or they just didn't have access to good support workers. So she had the idea really to create a platform where you could directly connect an individual to your support worker. And because we'd actually worked together in the past, we did a documentary together in Cambodia about just looking at all the orphanages there and the way looking at children and women and domestic violence. And it was a great documentary, and we absolutely loved working together. And when we finished it, we were like, "Oh, what's our next project going to be?" And it took a while. Like we went our separate ways and did the work we were doing. And it was only when Marissa had the idea that we thought, she was like, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yes, definitely." So for me, I was new to the disability sector, and our business is also in aged care. So I was new to that sector, but I absolutely was so inspired to run a business that could help people. And I think we always, we're not just supporting people living with disabilities. We also love the way we help find work for people as well. So it's like obviously a two-sided marketplace, and we really love being able to help both sides of the marketplace. And so Care Seekers was born in 2015. As you would know, we weren't the first ones with that idea. I mean, we actually all came about it at similar times, but there's been others who are all doing a great job. And but probably it really we started as a subscription model where you had to pay to post a job. And we did an accelerator with NRMA and Slingshot. And they said to us, this isn't a good business model. You need to like be taking money off every hour of care. Like that's where the value is, not just posting a job. So then we pivoted the whole business and the model and our technology. And so we officially kind of have been in this space since 2017 with our current business model. So that's a long answer to your very short question.
Oh, oh no! Very long answers are wonderful, and I think that like exactly all that you've said is great. I love it when it comes together pretty organically. The way that you were both like, something could be done better here,
Exactly.
So that's so awesome. So how does the platform work?
Sure. So the platform works in a number of ways. I guess we've got a few different types of customers when it comes to the disability sector. We've got individuals and families who post jobs on their own and connect to workers. Then we've got support coordinators who either can post jobs through like a support coordinator dashboard themselves, but we know, and I'm speaking to a fabulous support coordinator right now, you guys are very busy. And so we actually have a really quick referral form that support coordinators send us, and then we work to find the right workers for their clients. And then finally, we also work with a lot of disability providers, and they get a whole different system. We've got a whole different software for them. And again, they send us referrals, and then our job is to really find the right support worker for their clients. So we are all about the match. So even though we always say we're more than just a platform, because everybody who posts a job gets their own account manager. It's not just technology. Like, you really get to speak to one of our amazing members of staff who will really listen to what your client needs and find you the right worker. But then the technology is used to give us a massive database and huge scale of workers. So we have over close to 16,000 workers that we have on the platform. Obviously, not all are active at the time, but what it means is that often we'll have a support coordinator will call us in like a very, regional remote area and be like, oh, we're struggling. Do you have anyone here? And we'll look, we'll reach out to the database and we're like, yeah, we actually do. And maybe they never completed their registration, or they have, but it's, they need to update their police check or their NDIS worker screening check. So then we can reach out to them and often, you just need one worker sometimes. Sometimes that worker's not right, but we chat to them. We say, do you know anyone in your community? And they're like, oh yeah, my sister also does it, or my aunt, or, the guy down the road, and they'll connect us to them. And then we use our technology to onboard them in the most safe, secure way, and get them ready to support participants. So we service all different people throughout the sector in different ways. But I think the main two things we often just say is like, we're more than just a platform, and that we are all about the match. At the end of the day, we just really want to make that right match, because it goes back to Marissa's background, where she saw the fallout of what happens when there wasn't a good match.
Yeah, I love that. So are the support workers employed by you? How does that work?
So they're all independent contractors working under an ABN. So they running their own little business. So they all set their own rates. They decide what hours they want to work. And obviously we put structures in place, like if they don't have a Cert 3, then they can't do personal care. And we make it very transparent on their profiles what they do and don't have. But the workers love it. They love being in control of the rates they can charge and the hours they work and where they go and what they do. So it really works well for our business to have them working independently.
Oh, great. Excellent. And so do they have to provide their own insurance as well?
So we cover all insurances. So we do all the onboarding. We cover all insurances, and we're there for them. So in terms of payments, it all comes through us, but that means that we don't just leave them high and dry. Like, often there'll be a delay and they want to know what's going on, and we're really advocates for them to get their payment paid. If there's an issue of why it's not being paid, we liaise between the two and make sure, if the plan manager is coming back to us going, the wrong line item, or there was too many hours, we really help them make sure that their invoices get paid in a timely way as well. Or if there's disputes, we'll step in. If they can formally, report incidents directly through to us. We're also an NDIS registered provider, so we have to adhere to all the policies and code of conducts across that as well. So I think they feel, even working independently, they're very supported by us and our team.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it, because they get their own personal person who then they can advocate for them, and that sounds great from that point of view, definitely. I really like that idea. And that then they can also be a registered provider. That sounds great.
Yeah, so they're working on, that we're the registered provider, and then and we have the line items for support workers. We also have it for support coordination. So we've got some support coordinators who work alongside us for their clients. So they do get the benefits of the structures of an NDIS registered provider, which is great for the workers, but also obviously great for all the participants we service as well.
So is there someone in your organization who interviews the support workers?
Yes, so we have an onboarding team. So everybody who registers will always get like a welcome call. It's not so much an interview rather than just a chat about the platform, how it works. And then we also have to call their references. Often there's back and forth between them. References always take a while to get hold of. But then that's our onboarding team. So they're all about making sure there's the right documents and the real safety checks of it. But then I guess the next step is when we're putting workers forward for roles, then our account managers are doing like mini interviews on a per participant basis. The individuals and families, sometimes we call them and we say like, hey, you get a complimentary account manager. Would you like us to help you find a worker? Sometimes they're super savvy with these platforms and they're like, nah, leave it to us. And so then I guess they're doing their own pre-interviewing and making sure they're right for them or their family member. But at the same time, there's a lot of data on the profile, which makes them go, yeah, no, there's reviews, there's how many hours they've worked on the platform, there's the date they were last active. So you also get a sense straight away, is this a worker that has a lot of clients already that people are loving? So the platform allows you to do kind of a pre-check to make sure they're the right one for you. And then our account managers are always because it's at the end of the day, the interview, you might be interviewing somebody and they're fantastic with children, amazing with children. And then you have a role for somebody who's, in their 50s and they're not right for that. So you're always interviewing the worker based on the client you have in front of you that you're trying to match with.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You're not out of the clear. Once they register with us, it's not like, they still have to jump through lots of hoops to really, before we put them forward. We've also, in the past, when we first started, we used to give a short list of 4 workers. People were overwhelmed. They don't want that anymore. They want, like, I don't know how you feel being a support coordinator, but like 1, 2 maximum, and let them choose between it. So we do a lot of that. Like, we'll have the short list of 6 to 10. We'll whittle it down to, 3 or 2, and then present it to the support coordinator or the provider, so that we just find people are so time poor these days. And I guess we've become the real experts in what makes what a good support worker and what a client would need in terms of a support worker. That's our expertise. So we try and leverage that for our clients.
I love that idea as well. Yeah, I mean, as a support coordinator, it's funny that you say, 3 or 4 is too many for people. And it sometimes absolutely is. And but I still provide, me personally, like as a support coordinator, still provide people with 3 or 4 options. And then I say to them, all of these options that I'm giving you are good and would suit you. I haven't presented you any option that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So if you're really stuck, the worst you could do is eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Totally.
Whatever you land on, it's still going to be good.
Totally, 100%. And that's just it. Like, I think our account managers work well with support coordinators and know what they like. I would say majority, aren't as from maybe not a, a majority want a fewer, but we might, they'll know that like, oh, this support coordinator loves, offering a larger amount. But totally, at the end of the day, it's also a bit of luck. You go with the one worker. And then, as you know, we've had a sickness this morning with this, like, you just never know what is going it is. It's luck, and you just have. It's like anything. It's like choosing anything in life. You just have to, make the right decision with the best information you have, and then at the end of the day, it's just luck that the actual logistics of it work. Because in our business, we're people and people, and there's nothing. It's not like people and product. It's not like we're, selling wheelchairs or something. Something that you're always dealing with two sides of one person and another person. So there's more that is at play, I guess, like with just the logistical side of things, of people being sick or cars breaking down, or, all of those kind of things, which are part and parcel for the service industry, I think.
Yeah, which is why I often like to, if we're going to go with, say, independence, or if even from a provider, I try to put together a team of sort of 2 or 3, because
Absolutely.
then if someone's sick, there's somebody else who could slot in, and them. It's not then a stranger.
Totally. We always are trying to create teams for people all the time, because it's just the best way to manage supports. Like, it just means you've always got another person, and not just somebody else, a number. It's like, no, you want to have met that person, and you want to have, had a service with them, so that, and know that they're the backup. And workers are really happy. We find that workers are really happy to be backup. Like, they're actually quite responsive to last minute. But it's so great when they say, you serviced this client 3 weeks ago, they need another backup again, so it couldn't agree more. Just having a team is always ideal.
Yeah. So what does a day in your life sort of look like, with being the person that runs this company? What does that look like for you?
Are you saying a day in the life? It's such a rewarding role. I love it. We've got a great team. The Marissa and I really split our roles. She's CEO and does a lot of the operational and legal and finance. She kind of covers that. My role is marketing and tech. So for me, it's getting people to know about the platform, and then making sure our systems are in place to service them. So in a broad way, that's what it is. But it's, meetings with our tech team. We call them stand-ups, checking on new features. It's liaising with all the marketing coordinator and the community partnerships person who's out there trying to, tell more people and get more providers on board, and tell more support coordinators about us. We are, since COVID, we only go into the office twice a week. But we love those days. Like, our team thrive on like hearing what other people are doing and working on, and hearing the calls of people on the phone all day. So from like on a day-to-day basis, it's 2 days a week we get to really see each other. We always have a team lunch on a Wednesday. We've just moved into the city, and we're in like a co-working space from another office, so that's really fun as well. And then I guess it's at night that I kind of do more of the deep work and all the stuff that needs kind of a bit more thinking, or days when I work from home, that's when I can do that. Whereas I guess when I'm in the office with the team, it's a bit more responsive, and meetings and responding to things. And what we love about running Care Seekers is that I love coming up with ideas, and I also love being able to implement other people's ideas. And I think we're a real ideas culture. Like, we're always like, if there's a problem, how do we solve it? And being a small company, we can make the changes really quickly. Or if we see an opportunity, we can pounce on it and get stuff out there and offer it to our participants really quickly as well. So I guess, there'll always be a portion of the week that's generating ideas, but then the rest of it needs to actually be implementing them, which obviously takes a lot longer.
Yeah. But I do like the idea that it's so collaborative, because I think I'm a big one for happy workers, then make for happy clients, because they will look after your clients the best because they're happy. And I think that sort of culture is so important. And like you said, being able to just implement something relatively quickly compared to really big companies, I think that's key. That's really key for me personally, because I remember being, working for a big org and just thinking, oh my goodness, it takes so long to do anything. And it's one of the reasons why, like, I do love working for myself, because if I think of something, I go, okay, I'm going to do this now. And
Yes, isn't it?
yeah.
No, and I know, and there's not hoops to jump through, and also I think if it doesn't work out, it's also okay. Well, it's okay because we haven't invested months and years into this idea. So I think it's adopting like a more of like a lean model is so great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it works for our business and it works for also like my personality, I think, as well. So it's nice when there's a merging of the two.
Yeah, awesome. And what are your hobbies?
My hobbies. Oh gosh, I
Or
feel
do you
like
have any hobbies?
when I had children 11 years ago. So um, I know this doesn't sound I love walking. Like I just love walking. I love walking and going for walks and doing walks, and it brings me a lot of joy. I do still love film and I love books. So I probably don't have that many like good out of home hobbies at the moment. I like my hobbies are things that also are efficient, and walking keeps me fit and gets the dog walked. Films I can do when the kids are asleep. Reading is something that's essential as well. So yeah, those are probably my hobbies at this point in my life. But when the kids grow up, I plan on getting a few more hobbies.
Oh, yeah. Like I think it's so hard
Have
to
hobbies.
have hobbies when you have children. Children are the hobby sort of thing.
Totally. Oh my gosh, let's do their hobbies, slime
Yeah.
making and baking. And
Yes.
at the moment, those are my hobbies. Yeah.
Slime making.
Oh my
It's
God.
so good.
I know my 11-year-old has it down to a fine art now.
Oh.
So
Is it just like all over your house?
so when she makes it, no, and when she plays with it, it's fine. But then other kids come and I don't know what happens, but the way they play, she's like learned how to play with it so that you don't get it all over you. But there's been issues when other children have come and just like put their hands right in, and so she maybe needs to work on the consistency.
Yeah. And teaching others, like, this is the way I play with it so that it doesn't go everywhere.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
I love that. Awesome. So our final question of the podcast, and I love asking this question because I'm always so interested in what people have to say. In your ideal world, what would the future of the NDIS look like?
So Marissa and I talk about this a lot. I think we feel it shouldn't have a price cap, as it kind of means it's not such a free market. And we feel that the price cap often distorts things, as everyone uses the top of the price guide rather than letting the market set the rate. And we also hate seeing situations where NDIS participants are charged a different rate to a consumer market. That just really upsets us. So we don't love the price guide and these like rates. We understand why it was put in place, but when they went for this more free market, we feel it kind of, you can't have one and the other. They don't feel that there seems to not be a synergy between the two. That's probably just on the commercial side of things. Also, just speaking to like our customers and participants, obviously, this need for having to constantly prove that your disability is lifelong, and this, I was speaking to participant the other day whose child, it is what it is, and it's not going to get better. And the fact that now she's running around with her spare time. She has 3 children. One of whom has a disability. She has to run around getting medical reports and all of this when her child has been diagnosed with, a very severe disability, degenerative, it just crazy. I just don't know why they have that in place, that you have to constantly prove it. So I think those are the two things that just come to mind for me, that kind of, I would like to see that different. I get that some people need to, like, when you're doing a review and seeing how you're going, but there's a different way to, like, kind of prove that you still need the support. Or if you have XYZ, like, have a list of disabilities that you no longer have to continue to prove that, you can just talk about more about how your support's going along. I think those are just 2 things that come to mind for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So the price caps, yeah, I'll address that first, because I do think both are really interesting things. I completely agree. There are a lot of providers out there who don't understand that this is just a maximum. You actually can negotiate less, and in fact it's awesome if you charge less. That is one of the things I find maddening, because I'm having to sometimes explain that to people. With that is the travel, because, I'll probably on a rant for a second. When you have, like, an OT visit and it's $193.99 already for the hour, and then they're charging $193.99 for the travel, it's just not costing them that much to travel. It's just not. That drives me the most bananas, because then when you go to review and the planner or the LAC is looking at everything, and you go, like, we need to see an OT, once a fortnight, but we also need money for them to travel out to us. And they go, oh, we don't care. Like, that's your problem that you make them travel out to you. And it's like, well, not always. Sometimes the home environment is the best environment, or wherever you're going to, because you might then meet them in a park, or you might meet, anyway.
Sometimes that OT chooses not to have an office, and they choose to be a mobile OT, which works for them as well, because they're not having to pay rent on an office and, all of this. So, but then you're also, so their cost to their business is that travel. Like, not to, diss the OTs, they do a great job, but, like, no, I know it is. It's crazy. It's become this norm. And I don't know, back when I was a kid and there was OT, I just can't imagine, they would ever have charged for the time it would have, taken to get to the client.
Yeah. Or even if you did, it was like $20, as much as, like, the petrol or whatever. And so it's something that frustrates me a lot. And I think you're right. If you're going to pretend that you want a free market, have an actual free market instead of, like, this pretend free market.
Totally. We had a case, and one of our staff members was telling me the story, and I actually, like, almost got tears in my eyes. She was saying that a client was coming from a provider, and they said, and they were coming direct to us. So, and we don't, our workers don't charge top of the price guide. And she was like, okay, well, we've had to put all supports on hold because, we just don't have any more, we don't have any more hours. And then Lindsay looked at it and said, well, no, you do, because we don't charge top of the price guide, which means we can continue the supports at least every fortnight. And the support worker was very insistent that they continue the supports because they'd come so far. And also, like, the minute you stop, he'd go and get another role. Like, he's, you know what I mean? He's not able to, like, keep his books open for that. anyway, came to the end, and the supports can carry on a little reduced, but they will carry on. And the support coordinator, who was moving from a provider, was just so thrilled. She was just like, you've just made my day. I can't believe this. Thank you so much. And Lindsay was like, you don't need to thank us. Like, this, this is what the worker's charging, and it's all good. And she was so happy. It was so great.
Yeah, that is a problem where if you have to suddenly stop, all of the gains that you've made also stop and often start reverting, which is counterintuitive to what the NDIS is about. So that leads then into the issue of having to constantly prove your disability, which is silly because on getting access, when you're granted access to the NDIS, you have to say this is a lifelong condition. One of the things that I know they often say particularly with autism or intellectual disability, they go, oh yes, but support needs fluctuate, or the therapy need to reduce because hopefully you've capacity built them. And I'm like, okay, potentially, but I think it's going to take like 5 years to get that sort of capacity that you're talking about, where we reduce those therapies down. And they go, yeah, totally, it could. And then they don't fund that. And they go, no, you've had a year to capacity build. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And there are some people out there who can't be capacity built and need the consistent amount of therapy just to keep them at the level that they're at. And that's the other thing that drives me bananas with this idea of reducing therapies or hours with support workers as you go along because, oh, you should be capacity built by now. No, this is just to keep me at the level that I'm at and not going backwards. And
totally.
yeah, it is one of my bugbears too.
Okay.
I'm so excited you brought it up.
No, I know. And in some way, we both work and see them in this sector and see amazing things that happen. We see the good as well, but it's a new scheme. And I think, there are definitely, there are ways that we could, improve like anything. So I think it's good to have these conversations, and hopefully someone out there's listening, and we'll it's one more person saying it, so
yeah, and that is exactly why I ask this question, because I do love the NDIS and I do think it's awesome and does change lives, and there is so much good about it. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement.
Totally.
And it's also why, like, I love this question, because so far every episode we've had a different answer, and that's the coolest.
I know, I love hearing that.
And I'm just like, another different answer. This is great. This is amazing, because then we're getting so many more new ideas, and other people out there are probably like, yes, me too. Like, I'm not the only one who is like, what the hell is with this?
Totally. And I think we see it, I think people see it from their own point of view, but then we also, when you're working and seeing it across, when you see the same issue come up a number of times across a number of participants, then you can kind of say, I think it would be better if in an ideal world we changed this. So I think it's such a good question to ask, and I always enjoy hearing it on your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, awesome. And I do I really appreciate what you're doing. I think the idea of care seekers having, like a client manager for everybody it's silly to think of it as like a totally revolutionary idea.
I know.
But it's all like, that's the one thing I often say when, particularly when plan managers go, oh, what's the one thing, you wish you could improve on plan managers? And I'm like, oh, that they have like the one person we can talk to. That's all I need.
100%. 100%. I know. And I was actually laughing with a colleague yesterday. We were saying people used to post the job and we just never got in touch with them. We just let them be, oh, we'll find their workers. And like now they always, like, and people want the help. Like 9 out of 10 times they're like, yes, please, just you find somebody for me. I mean, I know that when I've like used to post for babysitters or, it's so overwhelming. So I think, but you do like this, the number of workers you get access to, which is different when you go, through and anyway, there's positive pros and cons, but so I do think like it kind of needs both. But I think it was for us when we started offering it. It's when our business really took off and then it just shows that's what people needed. So they like the platforms, but they need a lot of help. So I think that's where we come into our little niche with care seekers.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, and thank Marissa for me too. Yeah.
No, well, thank you, Hannah. Keep doing the amazing work. I look forward to keeping on listening to all the awesome people you're interviewing. And yeah, no, it was so great to connect.
Thank you for listening. Please share with people you know. You can email us at whatinthendispod@gmail.com. To contact me, it's hannah@tulipcoordination.com.au. And to contact Sam, it's sam@rosenbaum.consulting. Until next time, as the Green Brothers say, don't forget to be awesome.